the part-time agents aren't going to make it, right? Those that can't say, I am 100% a professional real estate salesperson, I think that they drop out.
If you're not getting educated about local and national real estate market conditions, the listing war that is going on right now, or what's happening in other countries, you're doing yourself and your client base a disservice. This is the Knowledge Brokers Podcast. I'm Tom Toole here with Byron Lazine, Lisa Chinatti, and we've got Matt Nicol here from the UK. This guy was voted the best agent in the UK a couple years ago. Incredible feat. That's a whole country, not even a state. He did 160 million last year and about 450 transactions. And Matt, your market kind of operates the way maybe things are foreshadowed to go into the U.S. here. So just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your business and what's going on across the pond.
Yeah, bro. So, I've been a real estate agent. I say estate agent, real estate agent for 22 years. Had my own business for 16 of those. We work in Worcestershire, in the Midlands, kind of, if anyone's been across here, a bit south of Birmingham. Market at the moment, we'll probably get into it a little bit in a little while. It's a tough slog at the moment. It's not really flying, but we've had some bad months of bad weather, and it's starting to pick up. So we're hopeful that we're going to see a bit of a turn in the spring market.
Matt, I appreciate you coming on, man. You and I had a conversation in 2024 that we put out as a podcast on BAM, and there were so many reactions to that. When we were bringing up topics like, okay, what's a world with really no MLS? Not like Manhattan has no MLS. Josh Rubin's come on here and talked about it. Manhattan's not a comparable market to any other market in the world. That's its own closed market. It's a bubble. That's a bad comp when you start talking about no MLS. We were talking about how it works with you and no MLS, what it looks like to pay for every single listing to be placed and get awareness. And there was such a strong reaction from that pod. And now with everything that's happened this week, and we're going to go through it in detail, the Zillow Preview announcement, the eXp announcement, the dismissal, obviously with Compass, and then Zillow's reaction, those four main headlines. And, wanted to have you on this because I think you're going to offer some insights as to what the future could look like if certain things go that direction here in the U.S. So I don't know, Tom, I don't want to skip over Lisa. If you've got anything, Lisa, to add on as a preview here to this pod, do you have any? Do you want to tell us about the Celtics game the other night? Is there anything you'd like to add?
We can move on.
All right, Tom, frame up the first topic for us.
So, and Matt, I'm grateful to have you on too, because I've seen a lot of like cheerleading about everything we're talking about here. And I am clear a lot of agents have no idea what the ramifications are right now. So this is going to be great to have some actual insight, not just a theory. So thanks for coming on. And I also have a redheaded daughter. Gingers are not a big part of the population, so more power to you, man. Very excited about that. So we got Zillow Preview got announced. Then we've got eXp came out later in the week with their non-exclusive listing launch strategy. And then Compass dismissed their lawsuit against Zillow. All very interesting here because it's very reactionary in some ways. And, there's a lot of double talk going on in the industry right now. So we're going to unpack that. So let's start first with the Zillow Preview announcement. So the short of this is Keller Williams, Remax, Home Services, Byron, I think you mentioned Ravis is part of this, United Realty. They announced a deal with Zillow Preview, which is basically a way for these agencies to launch their listings only on Zillow before they go to the MLS when they're in that coming soon status. And part of this, from reading these, and correct me if I'm wrong, the listing agents who participate will get a share of revenue if the connection for that property, like say I'm the listing agent, I'm with Remax, and the connection goes to a Flex team or a Zillow preferred team, whatever you're going to call it. I know they've changed all these names. So that was very interesting. Sounds pay to play here. And there was a quote from Jeremy Waxman I want to read because I thought this was very interesting here. Let me get to the right art. Here it is, the Jeremy Waxman quote. Of course, I can't find it now. I got too many of these things because there's been so much news. Jeremy Waxman quote is, for 20 years, Zillow has been guided by a simple idea. Real estate works best when information is open and accessible. No one should have to obligate themselves to an agent from a specific brokerage just to know the full breadth of inventory available. Zillow Preview shines a light on the listings that might otherwise stay hidden, giving buyers open access to their options and sellers the broad exposure they deserve. This is horse of a quote. I think this is insane to me because Zillow came out and they said, hey, we don't want private listings, but now we're doing the same thing on our website. What do everyone else think here? I mean, this is mind-boggling.
Hold on. There is a difference between coming soon and private, so we got to make sure we
I agree.
Lisa, go ahead.
So, super interesting. I think I got the email. You know what I love about Zillow? That's sarcasm. They announce stuff to customers before they even share it internally. So
yes.
I remember getting the email. I screenshot it to both of you. I screenshot it to my rep and I said, what is going on? And my rep said, got no deets, just got this information literally at the same time that it was launched to our customers. So
but you do know why. You do know why.
Of course, but still.
Well, because the
reps can't answer anything either. I asked our rep the day it came out. They're like, oh, I don't know.
They don't know because it wasn't disclosed to them because they would leak it.
That information will get leaked. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yes. Yeah. No, I get you. But there's still, I think that there's a way to do it so that they communicate it to the employees, maybe like the same day, but a couple of hours beforehand at least.
Well, sure. That makes sense. Yeah.
When they start getting phone calls, they at least have some knowledge. So there is a big differentiation between a coming soon and a private listing. So like, that's number one. We've had this debate in our text thread, and I know it's just the three of us, but I don't necessarily think it's a pay-to-play scheme, if you will, with Zillow. One of the things that has not come out yet is what they're going to charge for it, if anything. Every employee of Zillow that I've spoken to about it has said there is not going to be a charge for Zillow Preview. It's just an opt-in. And it might be something that shakes out with how the feed works from wherever they're hosted and pushed. The one thing that they are saying, which is interesting, is that if you opt into this, you have to, it's not that some of your listings get coming soon through the preview. It's that all of your listings have to be coming soon through preview.
So I have some intel from just Remax International because I asked them about this.
Okay.
This is the quote, and I haven't seen anything else. This is in a Facebook Messenger chat with a very high-up executive at Remax. Hey, just saw your post about Zillow Preview. Is Remax, handing this out for agents? Tell me more about this. Yes, our agents get that at half price. So it looks like there will be a charge. I just don't know what it is, but that's right from Remax executive team.
Lisa, I can't say with 100% certainty, but I'm of the understanding that the companies in this announcement engaged in those 3-year exclusive contracts on Zillow Preview, and there's a financial structure from the brokerage to Zillow. There's certainly a financial structure. They're talking about how a referral fee will work if it goes to a preferred agent versus the listing agent capturing. And so there is a financial structure involved in these 3-year exclusive deals. There's no question about it. How much money or what number these brokerages paid is certainly in question. Now, if they're going to, what you're talking about, Lisa, you're taking it from a partner perspective. Like, what about the little partners here? What about the current Zillow preferred partners?
Yeah, I'm an indie, right?
Yeah, and so maybe there's going to be some kind of, to capture more traffic, there's going to be a different arrangement with smaller partners, but they probably haven't. I'll just be honest. I don't think Zillow's baked it out yet. I think if they can capture, over 50% of the market with large partners, the little partners don't become as relevant. So I've been saying this for a long time. Little partners are in a tough spot when there are these massive alignments that are happening between large companies. They're going to be last in line. And so, if you're in a food line and everybody takes the steak and the chicken, you're going to be left with the broccoli and the carrots. And maybe you're a vegetarian and you like that, but
I don't agree. I don't agree.
I know you don't.
I mean, I see it the opposite. I see it as there being some advantages to being the smaller indie in this play, because I'm not tied to the decisions being made by an entire brokerage. Outside of the Compass coming soon and the eXp thing, which we'll get into a little bit later, I'm not, as an indie, I'm not missing out on anything, and I get to choose whether I want to opt into Zillow Preview or potentially any other products that come out. I don't think any provider that creates a service or a platform or a product similar to this is going to look at small independent brokerages or medium-sized independent brokerages and say, you can't participate. I don't see that where it happens. So I'm
because
looking
there's
at
not a threat there of scale, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and the way that this works is by getting more, right? Like the reason that Compass acquired Anywhere was to get more listings, to get more feed going through, right? Like everybody would be foolish to think that excluding the independents was going to help them reach their goals. Like that's not the case.
Right.
So
Listen, this whole what's going to happen with large companies through consolidation in the industry and versus smaller independents, that's a different debate. It's a different debate, and it's a layered debate, and we can have it. And I think with what we're looking at here today with the Zillow Preview announcement, the question I want to ask, and we can all kick around, and we're going to bring Matt in on this, is, these companies, Keller Williams, Remax, and others, those being two of the larger names,
and home services
and home services, obviously, that have agreed to, from a brokerage level, premium placement on coming soons. So one week or 2 week category, depending on the MLS rule, of coming soons. They've agreed to premium placement in a world where agents and teams are already paying for premium placement on things like Showcase and other portals that have premium placement products on listings. Now that you have at scale very large brokerages saying, hey, we're going to get into a financial agreement on a 3-year exclusive deal to place listings on this platform at a premium placement and invest in that, investing something, we haven't seen the deal, but investing something in that placement, are we now conditioning from the brokerage level a environment where in the future, more and more listings to get exposure to the market are going to be paid for, whether that's in the beginning by the broker, then trickles down to the agent, then maybe even flows into consumer? Are we getting into a pay to play scenario for listings in the future? Because I think I'll throw one thing out here, and then I want to bring Matt in and just kind of describe what the world looks like over in the UK. When you have brokerages right now that are doing this, I have a secondary question. Are they thinking long-term? Because you just gave Zillow everything they want, another revenue stream. If you're going to say there's value in paying at large scale for my coming soon placement and potentially listings moving forward, this gives companies that need to have quarterly wins in that group. I won't mention the names, but there are companies that need to have quarterly wins right now, short-term wins. And this is a short-term, I don't know, but there's a short-term victory for listing agents within the company for retention to say, hey, we've given you now lead access. We've paid for it. We've constructed the deal on a 3-year term on your listings. You're going to be front and center. So short-term yays and cheers from the listing agents. But what have they given up? They've given up something that could become commonplace, which is paying for placement on listings. Lisa, I know disagrees. Lisa, you jump in first, and then we're going to let Matt paint the picture of what it looks like in the UK.
Well, so go back. The one thing that I'm going to say here is go back to 2015 through 2018. We did the same thing for coming soons. You could pay to post your coming soons on Zillow. remember that day, Matt, you unfortunately probably weren't a party to that whole scenario, but I know Tom and Byron, I know you were. There was a whole era where you could pay to have your coming soons on Zillow, and you could pay to be the only agent that could receive the leads from those coming soons. They took it away. It went away because the product didn't do well. And there have been plenty of other platforms throughout that maybe didn't necessarily let agents pay, but where coming soons have been posted over the years, they haven't done well. They don't do well. If it was truly just posted and we see a world where the MLS completely dissolves and goes away, different story, but I don't see this as the full segue in there. And I think that there would need to be a lot of other dominoes that fall first. That's all
Lisa,
I'll say.
that product, before I bring in Matt, that product didn't do well because it was little onesie twosie agents, which do not reflect.
It wasn't onesie twosie agents.
Yeah, it wasn't big brokerages.
It was when I joined.
It wasn't
Coldwell
Berkshire
Banker,
Hathaway Home Services
when I joined Coldwell Banker had that agreement with Zillow. And that was part of why I left the brokerage that I was at and joined Coldwell Banker, was to get access to that. And it was through their, what they called their E-team platform, where it would all route through.
Still, one brokerage, now every brokerage is showing to me, when you got Compass, you got all these companies showing to that, hey, the future looks like there is going to be a higher investment on listing placement in this new environment. And if these companies also, from what I understand on Zillow Preferred, gave up direct feeds to Zillow. Like, we're going to talk about what eXp is doing, where they control the feed on these non-exclusives to Realtor.com and to homes. These companies gave the direct feed. What the heck do you need? If you're doing a direct feed and your agents are directly feeding into Zillow, what do you need the MLS for? And so, Matt, in a world with no MLS, and you pay, I think it's called Rightmove.
That's right.
Which is the Zillow of, basically the Realtor.com of UK, however you want to look at that, where you pay Rightmove for placement. Just remind everybody from our 2024 interview what having no MLS, how that works, and how much you're paying to place your listings.
Yeah, so the big difference in the UK is we aren't acting on behalf of buyers like you guys are. So you obviously got your buyers agents. We do have some, very few, typically down in London, but most cases buyers are coming directly to the listing agent. So the way the portal's set up, and there's only 3 real portals here in the UK. There's Rightmove. I did some quick numbers. They get in between 125 to 200 million views a month. Zoopla, 50 million to 55 million a month. And On the Market, who are like the third place, 35 to 50 million views a month. That's what they're claiming anyway. Rightmove for us is the website that every property needs to be listed on. That's the portal. It sounds like over there you've got lots of different competitors, Zillow being a big one, but you've got lots of different websites, homes.com, that people are going to go to. Because there is no buyer's agents, you're marketing your properties to every single buyer out there. They're not going to have a real estate agent approach you on their behalf. They're literally going to come to you direct. So we're dealing with every single buyer. They aren't going to be represented by anyone. They literally just call us, come through the portal, and we will then start to deal with that lead. And I guess when I heard this story start last week, this week, it felt like it's really going to be in favor of the listing agent, and those that have been really strong at representing buyers. Unfortunately, if the coming soon preview is going to kind of take away from what that was their USP, to be able to say, I've got something that's not online yet, you can come and view it or talk to you about it, then that means hopefully, but that means probably the listing agent is going to probably double on commissions and get the opportunity. I guess that's the way it's going to work. That's what it sounded like to me. We do pay a lot to Rightmove. As a proportion of turnover, it's a small amount, but probably about 120 grand a year. So averaging £10,000 a month. They do it based on the number of bricks and mortar offices you have. I'm guessing over there you have situations where you don't rely on bricks and mortar offices as often. So they might do it based on the number of units you're putting on or number of transactions you do. But they, over here with Rightmove, they also do focus on trying to get you on a core level, which will give you kind of no frills. And then they'll try and upspec and upspend, get you to advertise in different places. One thing they do very well, and I don't know if they do it over there, is if someone's put a search in and they've designated which location they're looking in, be it a hometown or a map that they've drawn on. Every day, every 24 hours, they get an email that tells that person everything that's come on in that location. And that does generate incoming leads to us often, and it gets us the new buyers. So it does have its ways that it works.
Would you, you don't have an MLS, so an MLS doesn't govern. Do you have anything like NAR that governs?
Yeah, I mean, they as long as we do everything by the book, then they don't get too involved in it, to be honest. There's Property Mark, and yeah.
So would
Sounds
you
like more the real estate commission than NAR.
Yeah. Would you say that the industry is a self-governing industry over there in the UK?
Yes, but we also don't do as much as you. And this
No.
When I came on the podcast with you, I kind of felt like coming away from it. I talked about how long it takes our transactions to go through, but really when it comes to selling properties, we're there obviously for the buyers. We're supporting seller and buyer. We're all conflicted. We're getting paid by one person. We want the buyer to have a successful transaction. But literally, once we get the deal agreed, we then pass it over to solicitors. And I think this is why you're probably more regulated and you have all of these governing bodies, because you really do have to take that buyer all the way through from getting the deal agreed to all the checks that make sure that they buy the right place, I think.
That's right. So we have a more regulated market versus the UK, less regulated. Where we're heading right now with the destruction of MLS boards, NAR is basically taking a seat on the sidelines, is a less regulated. We are going closer to a less regulated real estate industry, a self-governing real estate industry. In your experience in a less regulated, more self-governed industry, is Rightmove a monopoly?
Without a doubt, yeah.
Without a question, they're a monopoly.
Without a doubt.
And so everybody who's been crying about monopolies, oh, this one's a monopoly, whatever. Here in America, when we go into this deregulation mode in the industry and the industry is self-governing, we open up the door for a real monopoly actually to present itself and to be created. And if that happens, everything I'm saying, where buyer agency is potentially at risk in that world, like doesn't exist in the UK, everything I'm saying about, hey, if you have a monopoly and there's one place that, listings are really being pushed to, pay to play on listings, one or two places, pay to play on listings becomes obvious in a monopolistic world. And I think that it's an important scenario that could play out to acknowledge. And everybody right now is going to their camp and cheering as if these headlines are major wins for their corner. But the long-term ramifications on this could be detrimental to the industry as you know. It's certainly changing. And Lisa, I know you have a different viewpoint on a lot of what I just said, but I don't know if you're willing, to acknowledge that it's a scenario that could play out, even if you put it in a small category of playing out. Like this is where we're heading. I mean, we're talking about so many different things right now. Does RESPA get reformed? Does NAR even exist? Do the MLSs go away? You have a world where all the regulation starts to check out. It's wide open for some of this stuff to happen.
I wouldn't say wide open, and I'm not going to say that it's not a possibility, but I think you're looking to say that we flip to a market like Matt works in is
not overnight.
Not overnight, not in a year, not in 5 years. Like, so Matt, you've never had buyer agency over there, right? Like that's never been a thing. Correct?
Not in our region. In London, there is a bit of that, but that's only because people may be abroad looking to buy in London specifically, so they're assisting from a distance. But no, it's not in the 9 to 5 for us.
And I think that that's one of the big differences that we have to keep in mind is that it is so culturally, societally embedded into the US that it is going to take an entire mindset shift for multiple generations of home buyers to say, I can operate without a buyer agent. And you and I had heated debates when the NAR settlement shook out. And I was solidly like, you were no offense, but you were doomsday back when the NAR settlement shut out. Buyer agency is going to go away, compensation is going to go down, and I was the other camp and said compensation for the good agents is going to go up. Matt, you can't partake in this poll, but everybody on this pod besides Matt has to admit that I was right. For the good agents, compensation went up.
Correct. And I'm in that, and my company's in that camp.
Right.
What I'm seeing in the industry right now is it's starting to slip on the masses and things like
that's what we have to take into account.
For the short term, you are 100% correct.
But also
in 10 years, will you continue to be correct on the masses and the averages?
No. I will not, because I believe what will happen is that, Matt, how many agents are in the UK?
I think last count is something like 11,000 brands, business brands.
But how many actual agents?
Yeah. Oh, well, that's the thing. We're typically different as well. So there's probably about 24,000 like bricks and mortar offices, and within them you'd say some are single people, but there'll be, I don't know, let me find the number. Let me come back to you on that one. Okay, I know there's about 24,000.
They have less, Lisa, because they have more of a full-time approach. We have a lot of hobbyists and
that's
that kind of thing.
That's my point, is I believe what ends up happening is that the divide, it's going to be like socioeconomic status, the divide between the good agents and the bad agents, the chasm is going to grow, and the chasm is going to grow so wide that we end up in a model much more similar to like where Matt is, where the part-time agents aren't going to make it, right? Those that can't say, I am 100% a professional real estate salesperson, I think that they drop out. But I don't see a market where American consumers say, I don't want and I don't need representation. And I stand by this. The doomsday right now in our industry with AI is going to replace agents, and this stuff is going to take agents out. I don't see it.
Agents. I agree with that. And
agents who use AI will, though, Byron, right? Is that the big quote?
No, that's another
yeah, I heard that. I would say, I mean, it has played out here in the UK that I only advertise my stock on one portal. So Rightmove's the only portal that I advertise on. Zoopla keep coming back, On the Market keep coming back. They'll do it for free for 6 months. They just want to get your listings on there, because then they can start to say that they've got the agents in my hometown and the cities. But the point is that Rightmove will cost 3 times as much as both of those two put together, and you still have to be there. So pay to play, you've got to be in the right place. You then, as a business brand, and I guess this is what some of these kind of eXp's syndication ideas are, you've then got to make sure that you are the biggest and best seen, so that people think of you first. So it's a tricky one to avoid. I must admit there is no turning back on it. Once you're in the thick of it, you're not going to then start dropping it back. And that is what these companies know. And every time you meet my Rightmove rep, the price goes up. Every year there's something else being added, but it's going to go up as well. It's going to cost you more. So it's frustrating. And I hope, the only thing I do hope with AI is that people will start to find properties through ChatGPT searches and things like that, because then Rightmove doesn't have 125 million views a month that they can kind of be banging over your head. Those numbers reduce.
If Rightmove gets you guys to sign in your terms and conditions that they own that data, well, then AI is going to have to say, well, that's proprietary data, that now they have to make an agreement with Rightmove to be able to, technically get that data.
Don't go giving them any ideas, please.
No, I'm just saying this is how this is all going to play out, or these AI companies are going to start getting sued for stealing proprietary data. These are things that are obviously being debated in the AI world. What is protected IP? What is licensed data? Do the AI companies have to license this data? These are things obviously in the AI world. I saw Jared James put out, he's like, none of this is going to matter because AI is just going to have everything all coming to you. Listen, my mom still doesn't know how to use Facebook. So the idea that a buyer is going to get everything, from AI right now is, a little far off. And then getting into the licensing, I just want to clean up a couple things, and then we're going to move on to the eXp announcement.
Can I ask one more question?
Well, we're going to finish with Matt here, but I just want to clean up your thought. I agree with you that the disparity between the part-time agents, that's going to grow. in either direction that this industry goes. I think it happens either way. And I want to ask one more question to Matt as well. So, I mean, my question was, Lisa, and then you can ask your question as well. And you can answer them both. My question was, Matt, do you think we're going down a slippery slope in paying the portals for this premium placement? Where do you maybe see that going in a number of years? And then Lisa, what was your final question here on this topic with Matt?
So my question is slightly unrelated, but in the UK, is mortgage compensation, like, do you have mortgage companies competing for that the same number of eyeballs that they are in the US?
So mortgage compensation, it's not really about the mortgage companies. I don't think it's not a big thing for us. We're allowed to do referrals to our mortgage brokers anyway, so we'll get paid commission on those. Obviously, there's a
there's a really big difference,
right?
Yep, that's a huge difference. And I think one of the things that we have to debate in the US is it about the listings or is it about the mortgage? And for
it's about the mortgage.
Compass and Zillow, I think everybody would agree it's about the revenue from mortgage. It's not about the revenue from the listings. And I don't think you can take that component out of this debate.
Well, Compass, it's a shared interest where Redfin's winning on the Rocket is winning on the Rocket. Yes, I understand what you're saying.
Yes.
I got one question here for Matt real quick before we move on. So, I mean, obviously this has been something that's been talked about for a while with these companies kind of moving on. I mean, you got KW, Remax, Ravis, Home Services. In the past, I mean, Gary Keller has been very, he said things like, this is a fight with Zillow. There's no way around it. If you write a check to Zillow, you're voting for a Zillow world. Do you think he's kind of succumbed to the fact or realized that, hey, I got to play ball with them because they control the eyeballs, because you're kind of in the same boat across the pond here? I thought that was very interesting because he's really flipped from where he was in the 2010s and 2020, early 2020.
Yeah, I think it's a big, brave call to go against the big one. Is Zillow the biggest? Am I reading this?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's the main one, which is frustrating because is that the one that also has the Zestimate? Does it have the figure that the house is worth on the same screen as the listings advertised at a price as well?
Correct.
Oh, dear. I mean, I think that's just counterproductive, to be honest. that can't help. That can't help at all.
Well, it's how they grew traffic. I mean, they spoke to the consumer's heart. Consumers were interested in that. And that's where they built up a lot of their traffic by using that tool. Tom, going
back to Tom's point. Sorry, I'm not KW, but I have a good reputation locally. I have market share. I've got dominant brands, boards all over the place. Good on social media, but I wouldn't be brave enough to not go on Rightmove. I wouldn't think that I'm strong enough to be able to do it without them. And unfortunately, that's been drummed into me in 22 years of real estate agency. Like, that is the way you have to do it here in the UK. You've got to be seen in the right places. Your clients, they're choosing you for all your services, the customer care, the feedback, the testimonials, the community work, but really they want to make sure they're going to get seen by the most eyeballs. So that's probably why Gary's had to go, we need to jump into bed with him and do it.
Yeah, you're dealing with a true monopoly. And so your sellers would think you're insane if you're not on that platform. Mm-hmm. I think sellers would be, Zillow does control 60+% of the traffic or whatever the number is right now. They update that every quarter. There'd be a lot of sellers that wouldn't want to miss out on 60% of traffic here in the US. Tom, your point on Gary Keller and some of these other more now quote unquote legacy companies.
Yep.
That are signaling that we're playing a short game instead of a long-term game. That tells you right there, there's going to be a lot more consolidation at the top with the big companies. If they're making moves for the short term to stop churn, to keep retention, then maybe they're playing a 2 or 3 year game or an 18-month game, and instead of a 10-year game, because that is a total flip from old school long-term thinking, Gary Keller. All right, frame up the eXp deal.
Yeah, so, and then this is actually an interesting segue here because we've got a very opposite reaction from another CEO level executive at eXp, where they've rolled out their non-exclusive fee to Realtor.com, Homes.com, ComeHome.com, which is affiliated with Google, They're claiming that total is going to be about 170 million, which is still less than Zillow in terms of monthly eyeballs. And I know, Byron, you mentioned this in our text thread. I give credit to Leo Pereira here for actually sticking to his word about what he said he was going to do, and feeling that, hey, I want listings to be everywhere. eXp is taking a very different approach. They didn't give up their exclusive feed. What's the reaction there? I mean, it's the complete opposite of what these other companies are doing.
Yeah, I mean, Leo's in a small camp right now of from a brokerage level of people playing chess. Obviously, Robert Revkin's sitting at the chessboard.
Sure.
There's a whole bunch of CEOs and brokerage execs that are unfortunately haven't graduated from checkers. Leo's certainly not one of them. He is playing a game of strategy, and he's doing it with, like what you said, he's doing it with standing on what he said he's all about. He's standing on his business. He's saying, we want listings to be displayed to as many buyers as humanly possible 100% of the time. And this non-exclusive deal supports that stance. It validates his position. He doesn't look like a flip-flopper at all. And he made this non-exclusive with these three, with Realtor.com being the biggest of the three and the most prominent. But he's also called the bluff, particularly of Zillow, because I think, I don't think Redfin can even take his feed that he's offering to them, because I would imagine Compass is saying, no, only us in their deal. They have some kind of structure to their deal that might prohibit Redfin being able to go and take this free feed that Leo is offering to every portal, Redfin and Zillow. And so I really think this is a move here that says, hey, Zillow, you've said you want all listings and these coming soons to be viewed by all, consumers should be able to view all of them. And so I'm not going to sign an exclusive like these other companies have, but you can have my feed for free. You can have this data for free with this non-exclusive relationship, the same way I've done it with Realtor.com and others, for example. And so Zillow, come and get it. And, I think that is going to put Zillow in a position where they got to make a choice, which if they make that choice, what is all the 3-year exclusive companies going to say? Hey, we just signed this 3-year exclusive deal and you're doing it for free. We had to pay for this. And now you're doing it for free with eXp. So they're kind of stuck, if I'm reading that correctly. If Zillow is truly going to, want to make as many of these coming soons accessible that follow MLS guidelines, and, that's the whole thing there, then they've got to take this Zillow feed.
Just a question right now. If we
they got to take
Zillow,
this eXp feed. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Do they? So I know when we looked at last week, Tom, when we pulled up the Redfin site, your coming soon was posted on Redfin. Do your coming soons currently pull through your feed and go to Zillow?
And they still will. A Zillow Preview is an elevated coming soon. So you're going to have basically 2 coming soons. If you're MLS, my coming soons, I saw somebody online saying coming soons aren't even allowed on Zillow. Our coming soons go on Zillow all the time because it follows MLS rules. And so you're still going to have coming soon, but you're going to be pushed down the algorithm and the Zillow previews. So you'll still see coming soons in some markets that allow it on Zillow, from what I understand. And then you're going to have Zillow previews, which has a premium placement, like showcase versus regular listing. Think
have they
preview
said it's
versus
premium
regular coming soon.
Have they said premium placement? I'm looking at the announcement. I don't know that it said premium placement.
I think it did. Let me see.
I guess the question is, like, is it that, or is it just that through preview you can get a portion of the commission back? Like,
or is it?
Zillow offers a new way to bring.
Have these companies said that all of our coming soons are not going to be called coming soons? They're only going to be called previews. We're going to place them all in preview instead of listen. I mean. We'll get the answer on whether it's premium placement. If I had to make a bet, it's going to be premium placement, Lisa. Showcase gets premium placement. Why wouldn't preview get premium placement? I don't think that's too hard about. I don't care. I don't care actually what the press release says. Just use your head. They're going to have premium placement.
Going back to your comment, Byron.
You're
about,
snarky.
Well, I'm just saying, why
Oh,
do we
hold
have to
on.
look
We're
at their
English
press
here.
release?
I don't like these battles.
Use my.
They can
Yeah.
update their listing standards like they did on March 17th, but with a snap of the fingers. It's going to have
True.
premium placement. Just
I get it.
Just common
Well,
sense.
I don't know that it necessarily will. I don't necessarily. I actually think that the product is not what you're saying. I think the product is, let me give you a portion of the revenue so that you'll put it here. I think the question is the product designed to promote the listing, or is the product designed to get the agents to post the listings? Like, could go either way, my friend, right? Like, if the product is really designed to entice agents by giving them a portion of the revenue, it's not designed to promote the listing. It's designed to get the agents to take the action, right? If it's designed to give it premium exposure, which it hasn't said yet, everything that it says is we're incenting agents to put it here, not that it's going to get premium exposure.
I've got a little bit of a different
And
take on this, where we're looking at, like, obviously whatever company you're with, you're kind of hamstrung if you're with one of the big box brokerages here. But on the listing side as a listing agent, and Matt, I'd love to get your take on this because I think you're in the same boat and you're going to understand this, is that when you're in front of a seller, they're asking, what are you going to do? What are you going to do differently? How are we going to get premium exposure? So you got your pay to play arrangement with Rightmove, right? And I think that's a smart move to get listings. That's why you're doing well, why you're selling 400 plus homes a year. Listing agents, like, think about when you're in the listing appointment. Hey, well, you guys do drone photos, right? And then people are like, oh, of course. Like, they'll say anything to get the listing. So I think what's going to happen here, Lisa, especially with these companies aligned with Zillow, is they're going to say it's premium placement. I mean, people will do this all the time. They're going to push this as their point of differentiation, no different than agents that offer showcase right now to their clients. Like, I mean, it's the same thing, and people will do anything to get these contracts signed. Does this come up often in your listing appointments, Matt? Because I think it's the same. I mean, I would imagine this is like a major
That's a good
talking
question.
point.
Yeah, no, it is. They call them premium listings here in the UK. So the difference between a premium listing and a standard listing is a normal listing, as you kind of go through the list vertically, they're just a single photo, maybe a couple of small photos. Premium listings got larger image, more colourful, bigger box, and that's to get your attention. And ultimately, that is the big thing that people are pushing. You can then get featured property. So when you come up, even if your property value is further down the line, it would actually appear at the top of the list. And that's another thing that we would invest in it. We get credits at the beginning of each month, and we'd give it to all of our stock. Basically, every single listing that we put on the market, we'll get one of those premium listings. In terms of the numbers that back it up, yes, they do have better click-through rates. Not significant, but they do have better click-through rates. And if people are trying to make their property stand out, along with things like drone footage, virtual tours, and all that, it does help to make sure that that listing really shows. Going back to one of those earlier points, I do think the portals, as we call them portals, I think the war will be for them to get as many agents to list with them as possible. Because if they have, like Monopoly, Rightmove have here, any consumer doesn't go to On the Market, which is actually owned by Homes.com, doesn't go to On the Market to find a property out. They'll go to Rightmove because that's where they know they're going to see my stock, but they're also going to see all of my competitors' stock at the same time. So it would be in their best interest to focus on getting the real estate agents onto their portal first. And appreciate these exclusivities might have been signed, but better to get the stock onto their portal first and then have everyone going, well, if I want to buy in Indiana or whatever, like, I'm going to go to that part, and that's the website.
All right. I don't get to say this all the time, so I'm going to jump on the opportunity to say it. Lisa, you are wrong. The press release
I
says
thought you were going to say you
I
are
saw him
right.
baried in his computer. I knew something was up.
the press release. Yeah. The press release is very clear. Greater visibility. We'll post it on the screen. Preview
But
listings
I don't.
received.
That's not premium placement. Greater visibility means getting in front of more people.
Can I read the rest of this?
Yes.
Preview
go for it.
listings.
Arguing like the English language now.
Preview listings receive elevated placement in Zillow search results and saved home alerts. It's as black and white. And this is how I understood it.
You were right.
So it's during the preview period, obviously, that those listings get that elevated placement in their words, word for word, elevated placement in search and saved home alerts. And so, you know, how big that, to your point here, how big is that actually going to land with consumers? Like, oh my gosh, I'm only seeing this, you know, there's obviously a fair debate there. But that is one of the carrots being offered. It's like, hey, you're going to be able to, you know, in their words, take these coming soon's out of the dark. Nobody sees it, and you're going to put them here, and so on and so forth. So, we are ultimately getting into this elevated placement game that, it's going to become a condition here. And as consumers see that, Matt pointed out Zestimate. Consumers know what this estimate is today.
Yeah.
When consumers who are going to sell their house, they're going to know the difference between, after 3 years of homes that are being featured in the algorithm versus homes that are not featured. And what's the question? Hey, is my home going to be featured?
Well, that's exactly my point, Byron, that, in order to win listings, which increasingly is going to be the game here for real estate agents, you've got to have an arsenal of, here's what I do differently. This is the opposite of the 3-point plan where people put the home online, they put a sign up, and they wait for something to happen. And the more differentiation tactics you have, the more listings you're going to take, as long as you can communicate it properly. So I totally agree with you there. I think right now it's like, that's why I think these listing agents are all excited. Like I'm seeing all these rah-rah quotes on social. Other people are hating on it. This is the arsenal. This is the game. Matt, I imagine that's probably how your appointment goes. Like, hey, here's what we do differently. Here's how we're doing things.
Yep.
I'm taking listings at a high level. Both of you have done that. That's always been the game. So the more you can do, the more listings you're going to win. So, it's pay to play, but sometimes you got to spend money to make money, my friends.
Yeah.
So
Here as well,
that's really the reality.
I don't know what the difference is in fees for you. And Byron, this was a bit of a talking point when we last met. We don't get fees like you guys, but the difference between one agent to another agent can be as much as, we'll be 1.5% if we're lucky. That's the top fee we'll get as a listing agent. But some agents are out there quoting 0.75 off the bat. And so when you do say all these things that we're adding into it, 0.75% fee on a 400 grand house is a fair amount of chunk of change. But when you can justify how this demonstrates the value and what people are achieving as a result of it, you'll get them back in. But that's what we're up against. It's not like maybe you are. I don't know if you're going out and quoting 4 and everyone else is quoting 1, but that's kind of the market that we're playing in at the moment. There's some agents that are really chopping it down.
There are no fixed commissions. There are no fixed commissions in the U.S. Just want to say that. Matt's across the pond in another country. We talking bananas over here, cupcakes.
And there are points
not at all.
Those numbers that you threw out, there's a wider range here in the U.S. of compensation structures and offerings. And so those numbers that you threw out, they exist here in the U.S. But I think for everybody, and then there's numbers all over you can get onto the MLS while it still exists as a seller for $500, So there's a wide range of opportunity for people to sell their home. And so listen, as much as everybody wants to tear everything down that we've had for years, MLS and some of this governance that we've had in this industry, that's why I wanted Matt on. I mean, fees are dramatically different in a world where there's a true monopoly. A true monopoly forms without regulation. Buyer agents don't exist. All of these things are real possibilities because they're not happening on Mars. They're happening in the UK. What's that, a 5-hour flight from New York? This isn't.
We were all part of the UK, Byron. This is our. At some point, they owned all the colonies where I live.
Yeah,
so
this isn't some new galaxy we've just found. Okay, this is like taking a West Coast flight, not that far away. And I know there's a lot of things different here in the U.S., but the perspective is, I think, something to be aware of when we're making decisions today that are going to impact the shape, the rules, how we operate for the next 5-10 years. So the dismissal, let's get into that real quick.
Full circle here.
Let's let Matt listen to more U.S. drama. Go ahead with the lawsuit dismissal.
Gotta love drama. So this happened 2 days ago. Compass dismissed the lawsuit against Zillow after the policy update that Lisa referenced on March 17th. Robert Refkin put out there, our goal has always been to give homeowners more choice to decide when, where, and how to market their homes. We are pleased to see that other brokerages are now recognizing, interesting usage of the word brokerage, by the way, that other brokerages are now recognizing the strong consumer demand for more options in how they sell their homes. Homeowners deserve more choices, not fewer choices. He went on to say that Zillow announced it will no longer ban home sellers and their real estate professionals for publicly marking a listing on the Compass family of websites. Now, we dug into this. So, my understanding, and Byron, correct me if I'm wrong, that a private exclusive could still be banned on Zillow. It's not the coming soon that will be banned on Zillow. So there is something there to
That's the
to
way
be
I
said.
understand their updated
Agreed.
listing standards.
Agree. I think we're all on the same page about that.
Yeah.
So, the suit's gone. Now that it looks like Compass got at least something that they wanted. I don't know if this was, sometimes people use lawsuits as a weapon and capital as a weapon. So what, I mean,
Yes, they do.
I want to defer to Byron on this. Well, yeah, that is true. No comment.
Listen,
and we'll go for there. So what do you got, Byron?
I said from the start, the lawsuit that Compass filed against Zillow was much more of a rallying cry, much more of a PR move in the brand that Robert Revkin is building within Compass and now within CIH. It was used as a way for him to be seen as a transcendent leader, somebody who is fighting against, Zillow, for example. So it was a PR lawsuit to begin with. It really didn't have any legs, and the judge made that clear. Right? We what was it? A couple of months ago, the judge is like, "We're not."
They said, "Get out,
get out of here." This is all kind of nonsense. Was the indication from the seat, and so this now gave what was a PR move from the start to apply pressure and to break stuff, and it definitely has broken stuff. So the chess move of spending whatever he spent tens of millions of dollars on this lawsuit to begin with has played out in their favor to some degree on what they want to get done. I'm not saying it'll be good for the industry, but it has been a winning move for Robert Revkin. Now with Zillow's announcement of Zillow Preview and their reactionary move gave them the out to say, "Ooh, this will be perceived certainly by our agents," and it has been, if you read the comments, as a win for us. Anytime you drop a lawsuit that you started, when you dismiss a lawsuit, you're saying, "I'm about to lose, so I'm going to dismiss." Why would you spend tens of millions of dollars doing the lawsuit just to dismiss it later? But they're basically positioning this as like, "Oh, we got what we wanted out of it." Zillow comes right out and says, "Your exclusives are still 100% banned," essentially is what they're saying. They didn't use Compass by name, but they basically said that. So
I've got to bounce, guys, so I'm just going to say goodbye to you all. And thank you for coming, Matt. It was nice to chat. And I'll let you finish up with the boys.
Okay, we'll wrap here. We'll wrap, boys.
Was it nice to see us? Just Matt. Did you notice that?
Lisa told us she had a hard stop here. So for everybody in the comments that thinks Lisa now hates me or something, not true. Lisa, in fact, we talk
love-hate relationship, Byron.
No, it's not even a love-hate. It's a love-love. We talk every day. But keep it spicy on the pod. Lisa had to go. So that's where I'm at on this. I mean, Matt, I'm sure you don't have much opinion on that lawsuit as it doesn't impact your business. Tom,
no, I mean, we don't have much of those kind of battles going on over here in the UK. I think that's one thing I'm very pleased with. We don't see many lawsuits against each other. And again, you say unregulated industry, we probably do get away with a little bit more. So yeah, I can't add to that one, unfortunately. That's not my ball game.
Tom?
Yeah, I mean, it's clear what the intentions were looking at this, that this was it was probably the right time for them to withdraw it. Sometimes you got to take your opportunity when you have it.
Perfect.
I mean, you see those opportunities come up. Something about opportunity, it doesn't show up when you're ready. It shows up when it shows up, and this was a good time. So I think that's a smart move. Byron, to your point here, what I see happening is there's you were joking around about that Ryan Serhant comment that there's going to be 2 brokerages by 2030, right? It was him and Compass is what he predicted, which, I love the confidence level from him. I don't agree with that. It's clear there are some people that are moving ahead of the other execs in the big box brokerage. You got this group of legacy companies, KW, Remax, Home Services. They've been around for a very long time.
Yeah,
they're kind of all grouped with Zillow. And, again, it's funny, Gary Keller, what he said years ago versus now. Remax has a new CEO, very nice guy. I mean, he's been on, but he hasn't been in the business nearly as long. Then you've got eXp kind of doing their own thing. And I do give Leo credit for sticking to what he said he was going to do, which a lot of people in business don't do. But I'm clear that's a great trait of any business owner. And you got Compass doing their thing. And what's clear to me is that stuff has changed. Like, I don't think this is going to go. I disagree with Lisa about the buyer agency point. I think Matt's got the best perspective. You're looking at who's really going to be dominating the market, and it's the people that take listings. Now, a lot of coaches and mentors and all those sorts of people have said, if you control listings, you control the market. I think that's going to be more true than ever right now. And this is not going, 3 years is a long time. That's a long agreement. It's not like this is a 1-year deal and they're going to test it out. That's 3 years. And I just, Compass, I think they kind of got what they wanted out of this, and now they can pull back and stop spending money on a lawsuit. I mean, that's really my observation here. And I have go ahead, and then I got a question for Matt about all this.
Yeah, I mean, I got something for Matt too. It's too bad Lisa had to jump. I mean, Lisa's heart on one is aligned with like Realtor.com. Hear Damien, CEO of Realtor.com, talk about buyer agency, how important that has been for America and home ownership, and what home ownership has meant for so many families. This buyer agency that we have has been really important, and trying to protect that. I believe in that fight for sure. Doesn't mean that it's always going to exist, because it always has. And I think that, Realtor.com has articulated that, because Damien has experience in Australia and other countries that don't have buyer agency. So he has, warned against, this is what it looks like. You guys have such a great thing with buyer agency. Buyer agency is super important. It's allowed, so many more families in America to be able to achieve that dream. Matt, do you think your world would be better with buyer agency? Do you think or do you disagree? I mean, do you think the market would function better? Do you think more people would have access? What do you think?
I think if we continue to have the help with solicitors, I mean, that for me, it doesn't go beyond me how hard you guys have to work to get your transactions through, and all the kind of advice and the risk that you have in giving bad advice. We get to offer that to someone else. Our solicitors take a lot of that brunt. My world.
The solicitors, like the attorney over there, or the title is
exactly. Yeah, but they'll do the searches, they'll do the inquiries, they'll do all of that themselves, and they'll be feeding back to the client. And if the deal goes south, or if they buy a bad property, it will get back to them. It won't come back to me. My negotiation to type a deal is on me, but then it gets to them, and then they have to do that. Drags it out. It's 120 to 150 days. The transactions take forever. But going back to your point, I really, really, really feel that if I could be a buyer's agent and the UK adapted to, or buyers in the UK adapted to wanting buyer's agents, that would be the perfect scenario for me, because I can get a fee on the way in and a fee on the way out. I might be conflicted, but I could get a fee both ends. And also, I think
would it be better for consumers is the question.
Okay, better for are we talking about them as well? Would it be better for consumers? Yes, I think so. From a negotiation point of view, from a negotiation point of view, I think I would get them to be buying, or able to buy properties at a figure that they're happy with, down to obviously your standards and your services. But I think it would, for the consumer, be a better thing. We give them everything anyway. We give them all the free advice. It's the thing that they will benefit from more than anything is just that negotiation, someone in their corner working for them, and getting it at the price they're happy to pay.
A higher level of service than what they get from you sharing certain things and a solicitor doing certain things. It'd just be a higher level.
They have no one really looking after them. No one looks after them at the moment, because I'm being paid by the seller. Yeah, I'm being paid by the seller.
The best way to sum that up is the objection handler that we've used for decades, where, hey, I want to talk to the listing agent. Hey, can I tell you why that makes me nervous? They'll say yes. Hey, calling the listing agent's like calling your husband or your wife's divorce attorney in the middle of a really nasty divorce. They're working for the other side. And that's very real. Now, this is changing, but that's been the case for a very long time. And I think that's a great analysis on your part, Matt. My question for you is, given everything we just ran down, what do you think happens? Do you think this is going to be more like a UK market in 10 years? Or is buyer agency going to survive? What's your observation? Because your perspective is so different than ours, because this is all we've really been used to.
I think if I was only really a buyer's agent at the moment, I would be concerned. And I would be out there trying to knock on some doors and try and get some listings myself. I think there will be a position of strength for those that do have the listings in the area. It's if it's going to be, a lot of it's going to be portal based and advertised from those, and the buyers can come to you directly, then it's got to work for those people that have got the listings. It's got to play into their hands, I would have thought. So bigger brands might have success as a result of it, but you never know. I mean, there could be some small independent that comes up with some new way of fighting the fire and getting it better. But if it plays out the way it does in the UK, those that are on the big portals will get more eyeballs. Your listings, you'll win more instructions. Especially if you're doing all the bells and whistles and adding everything to it, it's going to help you. It's going to help your cause with the instructions.
Matt, appreciate you coming on and getting involved in all the U.S. headline. A big week of headlines this week, and I think your perspective was amazing. Go play some golf now, okay? You've earned it.
I was expecting my daughter to get back from school. I was waiting for a tap on the window. I just messaged her saying, "Keys in the key safe. Don't knock on the window. Don't knock on the window."
Go play some golf. If you find yourself in South Florida at any moment, hit me up. I'll get you over here to my course. It'd be fun to play with you.
I'd love to, mate. Yeah, really good. Thank you.
I'll meet you guys at the clubhouse.
Tom doesn't play golf, so he'll meet us on 19.
Too busy listing houses, Matt. So that's
Matt's listing 400. He had 400 listings last year, and he's still
incredible.
We have maybe one for another day, but we have to list maybe 550 to 600 to get 450 transactions.
Yeah,
so
that's about right.
Okay, yeah. I mean, think about that. Matt listed 550 plus homes last year. That's like taking a listing and a half a day or something like that, or two listings a day. On a work day, it's 2.5.
I've got a team of 38, so it's not all on me. So all good.
No, of course. No, you're incredible. Appreciate you bringing the perspective, and we'll see you guys next week probably.
Thanks, Matt.
Probably with big news. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Cheers, guys.